It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, so I should be sleeping, but instead I'm up reviewing movies. So while this movie might be called Evil Eye, right now I have the sleepy eyes. So Evil Eye is the latest property coming on Amazon Prime from Blumhouse Productions, and I believe Blumhouse released like 4 horror movies around the same time. I think it's called like Blumhouse Week or something like that. One of the movies I actually just reviewed, and this is another movie that I ended up watching. The other 2 movies I wasn't really that interested in, just based on the storyline, and then also more importantly, the reason why I was interested in these 2 movies is Black Box is a sci-fi horror movie starring black people. It's not something you see often. And then Evil Eye is a horror movie starring Indian people. Again, something that you do not see. And the premise for Evil Eye is a superstitious mother is convinced that her daughter's new boyfriend is the reincarnation of a man who tried to kill her more than 30 years ago. And the thing about this movie, like, I thought the relationship and the dynamic between the mother and the daughter was very compelling and very interesting, and I really enjoyed the actors in this movie. Like, you have Sarita Chowdhury, who plays the mother, Usa, and you have Sunita Mani, who plays her daughter, Pallavi. And just watching their dynamic play out as mother and daughter, and in the fact that throughout this movie, Pallavi is a single woman living in New Orleans, and her mother is trying to hook her up with another guy because she feels like, oh, her daughter's 29 years old, and she feels like at this age, since all of her friends are getting married, her daughter should be getting married, her daughter should be with somebody at this point, and she's not. And it's a very old-fashioned way of thinking. And Pallavi, she's a modern woman living in America, and she's like, I'm only 29 years old. Like, I don't need to be married right now. I'm still young. I have the rest of my life ahead of me. And going back to the synopsis of this movie, her mother is very superstitious and religious, and she follows horoscopes, and she ends up telling, and she basically tells her daughter, like, she believes that if she doesn't find a man before her daughter turns the age of 30, she's just never gonna find a man and be single for the rest of her life. And so seeing the constant back and forth between them, and just the fact that they just loved each other and the strong relationship dynamic between mother and daughter, it was fun to watch. And then once they introduced the man that will eventually become Pallavi's boyfriend, played by Omar Mascati, he plays the character of Sandeep. Actually, before I say anything about his character, first let me mention that I was watching this with a friend of mine, and as soon as he came on screen, she and I looked at each other and we were like, he's fine. Like, as you're watching the movie and you see the circumstances of how they met, I was right there with Pallavi, and I'm like, girl, I would probably fall for him too if he looked like that. Yeah, he is fine. And then you have Pallavi's father, Krishna, who's played by Bernard White. He was very charming and he was likable, and those are the 4 main characters that you have throughout this movie. And yeah, like, their acting was pretty good, and I feel like that's the most likable thing about this movie. Like, considering that this movie is labeled a horror movie and the name of the movie is called Evil Eye, I feel like they kind of forgot that while they were writing this movie. Looking at the synopsis for this movie, where the mother believes that the character of Sandeep is actually a reincarnation of the man that tried to kill her 30 years ago, I feel like with that premise, they didn't really do anything with it. Like, there was a lot of telling with like flashback scenes and the mother saying, oh, this is what happened to me. I see similarities in Sandeep and I think they might be the same person. Like, it was a lot of telling, but there wasn't really any showing. And it's not a spoiler to say that yes, Sandeep is the villain of the movie. The thing that I would love to have seen more of is a game of cat and mouse, where I wish this movie would have you as the audience member kind of wondering, is the mother actually crazy? Like, is Sandeep actually a reincarnation of this man, or is it all made up in her mother's mind? And I feel like kind of part of the reason why it didn't work as well as maybe it could have, Pallavi's mother is all the way in India, while Pallavi and Sandeep are in America. This movie mostly takes place in New Orleans, so any conversation or interaction that she's having with her mother is all on the phone. And so for the most part, she doesn't really have any interaction with Sandeep, but yet she's like, oh, I think this is the same man as the one that tried to kill me 30 years ago. And it's like, how did you get all of that just from a phone conversation? And not only that, I feel like you spend so much time with the mother character, but yet it's the daughter that's actually dating the murderer. Only interactions that you see with the 2 of them are lovely. You don't really get any villainous or murderous intent from their relationship, until all of a sudden you get to the third act and then it just switches on a dime like that. And I'm just like, wait, where did all of this come from? And in many ways, like once you get to the third act, I feel like the ball just dropped so much that it almost really kind of felt like a Lifetime movie. Like this movie felt way more drama between the conflict of the mother and daughter more than the fact that you're potentially dating a murderer. And then also going back to this movie being called Evil Eye, they make this whole big stink in the beginning of the movie where they talk about what the evil eye represents in Indian culture and stuff like that. But ultimately, it contributed absolutely nothing to the story. But yeah, with that said, like I don't think the movie was bad. I just feel like it just wasn't very strong. Like they should have tightened up the writing just a little bit more, make the villain more villainous, and also maybe take the mother out of India and put her in New Orleans so she could have more interaction with the main boyfriend so we could see more that he is potentially this man that she thinks he is, or maybe he's not. Let them actually have more interaction as opposed to just hearing about things on the phone. Show me, don't tell me. But yeah, with that said, like I appreciated the fact that you had this movie starring Indian people and they showed Indian culture. They didn't Americanize everything, but yeah, overall, I just felt like Evil Eye was for me a miss. But the question is, have you guys seen Evil Eye? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can, hit that thumbs up button and like this video to really help out the channel. If this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.